On the fourth episode of Pepp Fam, we have a trio that knows a thing or two about volleyball, Heidi, Lily, and Noah Dyer. Hey guys, first of all, how are all of you? I want to go around the circle and just get the latest update on everyone. Heidi, we'll start with you. I haven't seen you in a while. How are things going?
Things are going very well considering the state of our country. But I'm home in San Clemente and I love it. I love living here. I am actually coaching a ton of volleyball, so can't escape it. But I've learned to surf since I graduated, and so I do that all the time. And yeah, it's one of my favorite things to do. So things are good overall.
And Lily, we'll go to you next.
Yeah, I'm back in Malibu, so it's really nice to just kind of be back here around everyone, seeing Noah a little bit more. So yeah, things are great.
And then Noah, how are things going for you?
Things are going well. Yeah, school's been good. Been chilling in Malibu. Started playing a little bit of volley. So yeah, life's sweet.
Now, Heidi, you played for the Waves both indoor and on the beach. I just want to talk about how you got recruited and how you ended up playing both indoor and beach.
Yeah, so the rules were, and I think they still are, that if you wanted to play both beach and indoor in college, you needed to be on an indoor scholarship in order to play both simultaneously. So I was just kind of looking for colleges that would allow me to do both. And at the time I got recruited by Troy Tanner, who was my club coach since I was 12 years old. So he knew me better than anyone and really formed me and shaped me into the volleyball player that I was. So 3 days after he got the job, he was like, "Do you want to come here?" And I was literally like, "Yes, you know what I mean? No." It was like my dream school since like I even knew college was a thing. So yeah, that's kind of my short story.
And Noah, we'll go to you next. You obviously got recruited at some point by Marv Dunphy. When he gets on the phone to call you up to play for the Waves, I'm sure you got excited as well.
Oh yeah, Marv's the greatest guy, and he's been like, even though I only got to experience, I think it was a year or maybe two of him being a head coach, it was still he's the greatest guy. And if you know Marv, you know he's just a joy to talk to about anything, even stuff like non-volleyball related. So especially being recruited, it's pretty cool hearing his voice over the phone that you've like always heard about. You know, he's kind of legend, but you hear him on the phone, you're like, wow, that's really Marv Dunphy. But yeah, being recruited was cool. I like kind of, Heidi thinks I followed her, but I'd say we found Pepperdine around the same time. So who knows?
And as long as we're on the current topic of Marv, let's get your best Marv Dunphy impression.
I think we're good here.
That's perfect.
And Lily, we'll go to you next. You followed in Heidi's footsteps, joining Scott Wong's program. How do you like it? And how happy are you to still be there?
Yeah, I'm so stoked. I love it so much. It was actually really fun, whether Heidi will admit it or not, to have a season with my sister, get to play for Scott together. Yeah, it was really great. My recruiting process was super last minute. Like usually girls get recruited pretty early, but senior year, I was super last minute. Someone else decommitted and there was a spot and I got to go and I was super excited. And so, yeah, kind of carried on the family tradition a little bit.
And sticking with you, Lily, it's not common that at any given point there are three siblings all at Pepperdine at the same time, which is awesome that all three of you overlapped at some point. Did you go to the games prior to coming to Pepperdine? I'm sure you were in the stands cheering on Noah and Heidi at some point.
Yeah, I did. Especially after I knew I was coming here. I came to a ton of the games. My whole family would kind of mob up there. It was really fun. We'd all go get dinner afterwards. So even like for the women's volleyball in the fall and men's in the spring, you know, saw tons of those games. So yeah, it was really fun. It was really cool.
And Noah, as a brother, having two sisters at Pepperdine, what was that perspective like, having two sisters playing volleyball? I'm sure a lot of guys at some point asked about your sisters.
It's definitely an interesting thing having a couple sisters so close to you in age and stuff, and all your buddies are like teasing you about them and stuff. But it's all in good fun, and I never got too mad. I never had to really fight anybody, so that was good. But having the sisters around is definitely a cool thing.
And you guys come from a complete volleyball family. Your dad playing at Harvard and other brother Travis played at UC Santa Cruz. Your younger brother plays at USC, I just found out. were you all involved in club from an early age? I'm assuming that you guys play volleyball a lot at home with your family. And Heidi, we'll start with you.
I think it all started officially back in the Boys and Girls Club days when I was 10 and Noah was 9. And we actually shared the co-MVP award at the end of the year. So they wouldn't create, this in the family. But yeah, that's kind of where it started. And then lots of backyard volleyball. We were all homeschooled. So the backyard volleyball games were very intense.
And then Lily, you mentioned a little love story with your parents and how volleyball kind of started in the family. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah. I kind of like to say that our family kind of started on the basics of volleyball. My parents met at church, but then the first time that they kind of got together and spent time together was my mom asked my dad to play a beach volleyball tournament. So we kind of like to say, yeah, our whole family kind of started at beach volleyball, started at volleyball. So it's in our blood from the beginning.
No, I want to ask you, so you had a season that was cut short last year due to COVID. And I remember being at that practice where you guys were having a senior day. And it was really sentimental, really emotional. You guys were all really upset, and including everyone that works at Pepperdine. You decided to come back though, and now you're back. Talk about what made you want to come back and how happy are you to finally live out that senior season in its completeness?
Oh, well, I mean, if you've seen the Pepperdine campus and you've seen where we live and where we go to school, you know I wanted to come back, of course. Like, to get to play volleyball in an area like Malibu and get to go to the beach and all this stuff, I'm like, heck yeah, you'll give me another year of that. I'm signing up for that. But I think it'll be cool. I think it'll be really cool to be able to get some like closure and actually get to finish the season out, you know? Because when it was cut short, it just felt like we were almost robbed. And so now it's like, wow, we've got a second chance. So really want to take advantage of it.
And Lily, I'm sure you were happy to know that Noah was back for another year and you had the chance to see him play another season.
Oh yeah, I was stoked. Yeah, for sure. It's fun to have him around. I get to see him, get to bug him a little bit whenever I'm bored or whenever I need to get off campus. You know, his place is always open, at least to me.
And Heidi, I want to stick with you. You guys also have a strong faith as a family, beginning before Pepperdine and continuing on through. Tell me how this spiritual experience fit with Pepperdine classes and sports, and maybe just how valuable that was to you at your time at Pepperdine.
Yeah, I mean, especially now that I'm like out of Pepperdine and just kind of living my, I guess, adult life, I am so incredibly grateful for the spiritual aspect that Pepperdine provided. It was super cool to just be encouraged in that way by like professors, by tons of staff, by coaches, by a lot of people in the athletic department. Yeah, I just can think of so many different times when, I was just encouraged in my faith because of the environment that Pepperdine has created. And I look back and I'm like, I can't even imagine going to a school that didn't have that. I don't even know where I'd be at. I'd probably be so lost. But it was just such a valuable thing that I would put probably above like all the volleyball and all the, like, even just the academics. Like, it was the most important thing that I took out of Pepperdine was just the relationship with God and how much closer I grew with him. So, yeah.
And Lily, we'll go to you next about your faith and how that has been at your time at Pepperdine so far.
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's super important for me. It really puts everything into perspective. Like Heidi was saying, from academics to sports. Faith is the most important thing in my life, and having an environment where that's like encouraged and strengthened and just thought to be like a really good thing, and like surrounded by people with similar faith. It's really important, and it's really great, and it's really strengthened me in my walk with the Lord. And so, yeah, I love it. I cannot imagine going to another school that had, that didn't have that aspect, that wasn't like strengthening the next generation up in Christ. And so, yeah, it's amazing. I love it.
And Noah, we'll go to you next. What do you enjoy about having those Christian values here at Pepperdine?
Yeah, I think it's one of the best things about Pepperdine. It wasn't something that I expected when I first came to Pepperdine, because everybody knows about like the great volleyball programs and like the great views and the great beaches. But that was one aspect that I really actually didn't know existed even at Pepperdine. I had no idea Pepperdine was a Christian school, but definitely it has had a huge influence on my faith journey and growing into yourself, because college is kind of a pivotal time. It's where you're getting away from your parents and you're kind of finding what you're going to believe on your own, because nobody's going to force you to believe anything. Like, it's just going to be whatever you decide that you think is right. And so I think Pepperdine did a great job of fostering that environment and really guiding me and friends and everybody else I know along the path that they should go,
All three of you have taken advantage of the area, from deep sea fishing to surfing to ranking breakfast burritos. Tell us how important having those avenues available to you throughout your college careers has been and was. And Heidi, we'll start with you.
Well, there's nothing more important than a well-made breakfast burrito. So I would say I took a lot of advantage of Pepperdine being in LA and an hour from every great breakfast burrito there ever was in the North America. So I just think like I had a ton of fun. It was like kind of my creative outlet. Like, let's just go rank breakfast burritos. It started at, I think my first video was like this Noah's like go-to gas station was through the canyon. And maybe I'm not supposed to tell people, but I'm not gonna tell you which gas station, but it was this gas station with a really bomb breakfast burrito. And so I just started doing videos on my Instagram and ranking them, and it was a very consistent thing, and I still do it to this day. So I'm really grateful for that. And then also just like growing up next to the beach, like, and getting to continue that at Pepperdine was so filling and just like that place of peace. And so I'm super grateful for just the environment that is Malibu. I wish I had taken more advantage of like the good waves there now that I'm like surfing all the time, but you know what? It was good to look at. So cheers.
And Noah, we'll go to you next. What do you enjoy most about being in Malibu, and how have you taken advantage of the environment that you live in?
Oh man. I mean, Malibu is a really cool area and has a really cool stretch of ocean. Kind of something I didn't expect, because it's like somewhere I'd never seen Malibu before. I had no idea what to expect with the beaches and stuff, but there's a lot of good reefs for fishing and for lobster diving. And so I really got to like literally dive into all that stuff because of the Malibu area has so many good opportunities to catch big lobsters, some big fish. So I think it was one of my favorite ways to like get an outlet from like school and life and stuff, and just to really get away, because there's nowhere more peaceful, but also more like dangerous and like powerful, but more peaceful than the ocean, at least for me.
And just going off that, do you cook those lobsters? Have you made like all the
Oh,
lobsters?
of course. Yeah. We cook it in whatever way we can. Of course, we're college students and we're still broke, but we're like, hey, we're eating lobster and we're living the high life, and we'll mix it with some like Kraft mac and cheese, and we'll be like, hey, look, here's some fancy lobster mac and cheese.
And he used to come into my apartment when he would live in the dorm, so he didn't have a kitchen. And he'd come into my apartment with like all these like lobsters that were massive, and like sometimes a dead fish, and like throw it in our sink. And all the girls are like, what's going on? And it would happen very often. And then all of a sudden there'd be like fried lobster, and we'd be like, all right, you can stay.
That is unreal. Lobster mac and cheese. Now I know something fun to talk about with my colleagues. And Lily, we'll go to you next. What are you doing in Malibu? I'm sure Noah's influenced you in some ways.
Kind of. Yeah. I'm more like, I like to stay on top of the water. I like to surf. I like to, kind of swim sometimes. I'll go diving with them sometimes, but I have a immense fear of sharks and, stingrays and stuff. And so it's a bit harder for me to go just out without a board, just free diving, out in the middle of the ocean, lobsters and things crawling around on the sea floor, and Noah's going down there and picking them up. And yeah, not my favorite. I love to swim and do all that stuff, but like, I'm gonna stay on top of the water. I'm more of a surfer, not too much of a free diver. So
I'm with you. The one thing about the ocean is the unknown. Like, and if I can't see what's beneath me, sometimes you just don't want to know.
yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
I want to go to my next question. So I want you guys to all take a moment and think about a time where you can look back and say, and knowing that Lily and Noah are still here, it might not have happened yet for you guys, but just maybe think back to something that's happened in your Pepperdine career so far. And Heidi, we'll start with you. What is one moment you'll look back and say, I'll never forget that time wearing a Waves uniform?
So I thought about this a bit earlier, and there's a lot of memories that I could pick out and be like, I'm so proud to have been a Wave at that time. But I'd say probably one of the most important times during my career was, I think it was either my sophomore or my junior year. There's just like a ton of hard stuff going on in the personal lives of me and like some of my teammates. And I just remember Nina sitting us down one practice and just like giving us, like pouring out her heart to us, saying how much she cared about us, and basically saying she would go to war like for us, like with whatever we needed help with, like with whatever was going on in our lives. Like she was just like, we are a family, like I'm going to be there for you. And I just remember our team just like crying, and like I remember after that practice, like we actually just didn't practice, that is like unheard of, that you would like skip practice for like a team talk. Like nothing's more important than reps, right? But that day we skipped practice, and I think like the growth from that practice and like just seeing like the pure love and just like the emphasis on like who we are as people and where we're at, being put way above just us as volleyball players, was super, super moving for me. And just to this day, I still remember like, just the love of the Pepperdine team and Nina and Marcio. And I'd say that was like my proudest day, that I was like, wow, this is really cool to be a Wave.
And Noah, before we go to you, I just want to ask you, Heidi, how lucky do you feel knowing that you were coached under Nina Matthews? Because when she retired, it came to shock to a lot of people, and some girls were being recruited by her and then find out that she's retiring.
I am so incredibly grateful that I got a couple years before she left. I was super sad she left while I was there. Totally wrecked me. She changed my life in so many ways, kicked my butt in most ways, but she really like knew what was important. And I think she just had grown a lot at Pepperdine, and seeing her growth and wisdom being imparted to me and all my teammates was something I'll always be grateful for. So.
And Noah, we'll go to you next. What is one moment that you look back on and you'll say that you'll never forget that day?
Ooh, this is a hard one. And I kind of did an interview for Men's Volley. I did a little Instagram story, and they kind of asked me the same thing. So I'm probably going to go with the same one, because outside of a Pepperdine jersey, had so many great times, but like too many to count, where you can, but the ones that stand out in the jersey are definitely those big games, because the big games are always the ones that you're going to remember. You remember some of the regular season games that were cool, but it's those big ones that count the most, at least. And so my favorite memory in a Waves jersey was definitely the MPSF championship that we played at Firestone Fieldhouse. I think that was the biggest part of it, is that it was at Firestone Fieldhouse. Had played in a lot of big games with Pepperdine as well, with tons of people in the crowd, but it's different when it's your crowd and your students and people that just packing the stands. And so just the energy in that place and like the game itself and winning, everything combined was just, I think, the greatest experience.
And the fact that win was against USC, I must say.
That too, yeah, that too. I won't let my brother forget that.
And Heidi, and Lily, will go to you next. Your favorite time so far at Pepperdine, what moment do you look back on and you'll say you'll never forget?
There's, like Heidi and Noah both said, there's a ton of like, practice, team, traveling, all this stuff, like just life that has happened like within the context of being a Wave. That's amazing. But with the jersey on, by far, NCAA, it was my freshman year, NCAA tournament. We beat, I think it was Northern Iowa in the first round of NCAAs in 15-13. nail biter and everything. There's this great photo of like us just storming the court and like everyone that's on the court, just like the pure joy and excitement. That was a moment that I was really, really proud and excited to be a Wave and have a Waves jersey on. Yeah, for sure.
And Heidi, I want to go to you next. What is one piece of advice that you can give to Noah and Lily about either going to college in general or playing at Pepperdine, as they still have some time left there?
Don't take the stairs, take the shuttle.
Yes.
Just be late.
100%. Just be late.
It's not worth it when you get to the top and you're drenched and you can't think about anything else.
I used to plan my entire schedule around the shuttle schedule.
Wise,
those hills are no joke.
I honestly sometimes think to myself, like, I would want to be an athlete solely for the purpose of wearing like athletic clothing. So when I'm getting to class, I can have an excuse to like be sweaty, but in athletic clothing versus in a cute outfit.
Yeah.
I'm like seeing these girls in these cute outfits. I'm like, I don't know how they walk around this campus. Like, I'd be so sweaty and feeling so
hilly.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, my last final question for all three of you, and we'll start with you, Heidi, again, is what does being part of the Pepperdine family mean to you?
I'd say being a part of the Pepperdine family means being a part of this community and this culture that really cares about who you are as a person. And I like the thing that just always comes to my head is like a drive for excellence. I think about Pepperdine athletics and I think about how they strive for excellence in so many different ways, way more than just like your actual skill of excellence on the court, but in regards to the way that they're like our coaches would push us at school, the way that we would just hold ourselves as we walked around campus, the way that we would, represent ourselves in class. Like, I just think like when I like being a part of the Pepperdine family is like something to be very proud of. And I love seeing people that went to Pepperdine now that I'm out of Pepperdine. And it's like, I have such a connection with these people because it's not like this massive school sort of vibe. It's like smaller, and chances are you're going to know someone that like if you met someone else on the street who went to Pepperdine, like you guys would probably know someone in common. That's just how much of a family like the school felt. And specifically the athletics department, such an incredible family, and I'll always be proud to have been a Wave.
And Noah, we'll go to you next. Just being part of the Pepperdine men's volleyball program still to this day, what's that been like, and how does that family atmosphere, maybe cross over to your next chapter in life when you're done with this season?
Yeah, I think the coolest part about being a Wave is you're a Wave for life. And so whether that means, that has a couple meanings. It means that you're going to be able to stay in contact with the program and the people in it year over year, because the personnel is always changing, like with the athletes and stuff like that. And there's always new athletes and young athletes. And it's cool that you're going to be able to stay in touch with them as well. But also being in touch with these older guys that have already graduated and are still my buddies. And I still get to like send them a text every once in a while and be like, hey, what's up? Because we're all coming from the same place. Like, yeah, we may be different parts of the country or even different countries, but we're all coming from the same place. We're all Waves. And so we all stay connected in that way. And I think it's kind of like a cool global like network / family thing that we got going on. I think that's great.
And Lily, we'll go to you next. You're coached under Scott Wong, who is a big family guy, and you guys have a very tight-knit group of girls on your team. Just talk about the family atmosphere within that and what Pepperdine, means to you.
Yeah. Like you said, the family aspect of our team is very important. Like from the very beginning, from the day that I got here, double days freshman year, we would have at least a couple nights of the week where we would have like team dinner, we would have activities, we would have things to do together, just to like, as the first thing that we do together as like a complete team is to like bond and get to know each other and kind of recognize, hey, this is our family for the next, however many years that you're here. This is what's important. And it really showed, especially as like, since my freshman year, we've had kind of an up and down of like school with the fires, the borderline shooting, COVID, and I'm sure there's something else I'm forgetting, but like there's just been a lot of ups and downs. And from the beginning, it's just like family. We've always been there for each other, no matter what, like either like any of us are going through. We're like consistently and constantly there for each other, like regardless of what was happening. And all of those trials really helped us just, you know, come together even more and form even a more like a stronger bond. And yeah, it's extremely important. I'm super proud. Like when I go home, I always wear my Pepperdine, my Waves volleyball gear. Like I love repping Pepperdine. It's my family. It's my home, you know, like I've gone through a lot with them. I love them all. Like I love my team so much. I couldn't have asked for a better like Waves family. I really couldn't have. There's amazing girls and the coaching staff too. It's great. All the staff at Pepperdine just make you feel so like at home, special, family. Like they care about you. It's not just, you know, another athlete, another check off the list. It's you're an individual. You're important to them. So yeah, it's amazing. I'm proud of it. I love it.